A century ago by Jewish students by the name of Sigmund Freud, Chaim Weizmann, and Albert Einstein. The World Jewish Student Congress has recently struggled for survival. Outgoing President Yosef Tarshish and incoming President Avigail Benstein and our own producer Vika Kanar, former chairwoman, here to talk about the future of Jewish student activism. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hi.
And welcome back to you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to miss you.
I know. I hope you'll still have me back in the future.
Of course. So what is the deal? There are term limits?
There are term limits. I've been elected to the WUJS board, so I'm still involved, but I am no longer the chairperson.
Now, first I want to, compliment you because, you were so humble last time, but I mean, people are crediting you for single-handedly really getting it out of debt, expanding the reach, expanding the vision. How were you able to do this in such a short time? What, 2 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, I came into the organisation 3.5 years ago, initially as the projects director. I was president of the Union of Jewish Students of the UK and Ireland. Then I made Aliyah, and then I walked into the WUJS office the next day and I said, you need some help, and I want to help you. And I don't think I did this single-handedly. I had an exceptional board behind me, an exceptional group of activists around the world who really helped me on a day-to-day basis make it a success.
He's being humble again.
I know, exactly. He's just a nice Jewish boy.
It's just putting in the effort, putting in the time,
and the
not
love.
Sleeping very much, and the love.
Let's
this
also
was a labor of love.
Before we move forward, so Vika, who is a friend and our booker of all of you wonderful guests on the show, has done a lot. She was the chairperson like 10 years ago. How has it changed? In the 10 years since you were, besides the name, it's now president.
Yeah.
I think, these guys are just being very bold and they say, we need to be on the map. And it doesn't matter, all these big organizations with a lot of money that might have it easier than us. We still think that the Jewish students need a voice and just, we need to stay on the map. And we need to be heard, and just really believing it with your gut and everything. Absolutely.
Now, for you, congratulations. So this was like a whole election thing. This is like high school elections, like where there's slogans and banners and debates and like ballot stuffing, hanging chads. Does that stuff happen now?
Well, I mean, like there were people from all over the world who had to decide if they wanted me to be their leader, to be a part of this organization. So
were you involved before?
No.
So how did this all come about to even have interest and then to be able to put your name in the ring?
Well, my parents actually met through WUJS back in the 80s, so I kind of grew up knowing that it existed, and I knew I would want to be a part of it. And a few years ago, I reached out to Yos and said, can I be a part? But there was no logical way for me to fit in at the time. And I've been heading for this for a very long time, so now it worked out.
So what is your vision for the future?
Oh, there's so many things that I want to achieve. I think that the Jewish students have so much value to offer, and I think that we have these incredible goals that we want to reach. We want to be heard. There are issues on campuses that are relevant to Jews. There are issues on campus that are relevant to students, and we fall into both of those categories. And there are really, really important things that we want to be taking care of, and we want to be making campuses all over the world better places for us all to be in.
Right. And how is, also there's such a changing face just of Zionism. I mean, like looking back, Albert Einstein, what was, wow, there's a picture of them, who knew they were so involved, as young people? We just think of them as these geniuses, not these activists,
Well, so the original founder of WUJS was actually, he was called Hersch Lauterpacht. He was one of the Nuremberg prosecutors, together with Raphael Lemkin. The Cambridge School of Law is the Lauterpacht School of Law. And in 1924, he realized that there was serious anti-Semitism going on in Eastern European universities, and he collected delegates from 17 national Jewish student unions that existed, and he brought them together for the first World Jewish Student Congress. And then the next year, he went to people like Albert Einstein and Sigmund Freud and Chaim Weizmann, Chaim Nachman Bialik, and he asked them to lend their voices as senior academics in the Jewish community, and to lend their voice to the Jewish student movement into WUJS. And so Albert Einstein became our first president, and he served in that role for around 10 years.
Wow, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So now I guess I want you each to kind of speak on the topic of kind of the changing face of Zionism. We're seeing so much being lost. especially as someone from the States, it's such a big place, and there's so many different cultures. What is the future, and why is it so important for students to keep the diaspora alive and not let it kind of get lost for the future?
The more I speak to people, the more I realize that there are so many Jews out there that define their Judaism either by their connection to Israel or by anti-Semitism or the Holocaust. And there's so much more to it. You know, we have this 3,000-year-old tradition with a cultural heritage that is unparalleled. And there's so much more value to our Judaism and to our Jewish values than is being learned and being addressed. And I think that being a part of community in and of itself has value. I believe in the power of community.
Right.
And I think that WUJS has that to offer to students. And all these student unions all over the world are providing that for their students. They're creating their own communities and their own leadership. And that in and of itself is an incredible movement that I want to help empower and I want to
last question,
push.
Where's the fine line of avoiding of it, like being like not like the world seeing it as like Jews promoting Jews? Like, you know, like there are people that, you know, don't have all the information that are just, you know, may see it as that. How do we target that demographic?
You know, I really believe that whether we were put here on this earth or whether we assign that purpose to ourselves, that we have a responsibility to make humanity better and to push the world to better itself, to push humanity to better itself. And I want to help Jewish students be that catalyst. I want us to push the Jewish people, to push the whole world to become a better society. I think that that's really what we're here to do.
And do it in a positive way, like doing, you know, not as a fight, but actually to spread the positive momentum.
This is also reflected in the policy that we pass. So one of the things we do at WUJS Congress, we actually pass formal policy, and we passed policy this Congress to support Jewish students suffering with mental health issues. We passed policy, not just Jewish students, but all students. We talked about, we became an organization that formally recognizes the Armenian genocide, and we're going to be doing more work in building allyship between the Jewish community and the Armenian community.
Important. Thank you guys. We're out of time, but it's such a good discussion. And look at this. 3 generations. Here we go.